The massive ship drifted through the cold darkness of space, its metal hull scarred and patched from years of desperate travel. Inside the bridge, Commander Veltar stared at the holographic screen with tired eyes. His skin glowed a dim blue color, the same sad blue that covered the faces of everyone on his ship. "Another rejection," whispered his second officer, Myra Len. Her voice was soft but everyone could hear the pain in it. "The Talkari Federation won't even let us enter their space. They said we might carry diseases." Veltar closed his eyes and felt his skin pulse with darker blue streaks. Among his people, the Keth Mori, emotions showed on their skin like living tattoos. Right now, every person on the ship glowed with the same hopeless blue. "How many is that now?" he asked, though he already knew the answer. 17, Myra Len replied. 17 different worlds, 17 different reasons why we can't stay. Through the large window of the bridge, Veltar could see the other ships in their small fleet. Once, they had been a proud people with gleaming vessels that could cross galaxies. Now, only 43 ships remained, held together with spare parts and prayers. Each ship carried the last members of their race, 80,000 souls with nowhere to go. It had been 30 years since their sun exploded without warning. Veltar had been just a young officer then, watching in horror as their beautiful homeworld burned in the sudden solar flare. They had managed to save less than a tenth of their population before the planet became uninhabitable. For 3 decades, they had wandered from star to star, begging for a new home. Every advanced civilization in the galaxy had turned them away. The Centaurian Empire called them ugly because of their glowing skin. The Zephyrian Collective said they were genetically unstable and might contaminate other species. The Great Andromedan Council simply ignored their messages entirely. "Sir," called the young communications officer from across the bridge. "We're getting low on food supplies again. Medical says we have maybe 2 months of medicine left." Veltar nodded slowly. He had heard the same report every week for the past year. Children were being born weak and sickly. The elderly were dying faster than they should. His people were slowly fading away, one day at a time. "There must be somewhere," he said quietly. "Somewhere in this huge galaxy that will take us." Myra Len pulled up a star chart on the main screen. "We've tried all the major powers, sir. The only systems left are the primitive ones, worlds that barely have space travel." "Then we try the primitive ones," Veltar said with more strength in his voice. His skin shifted slightly toward orange, determination mixed with desperation. "Sir, most of those species can't even leave their own solar systems. They won't understand our technology or our needs." "Then we make them understand," he replied. "We're running out of options, Myra Len. What choice do we have?" The bridge fell silent except for the quiet hum of the ship's engines. Everyone knew their situation was hopeless. Food was running low. Their ships were breaking down faster than they could fix them. Newborn babies were dying because they didn't have proper medical facilities. "Wait," the communications officer suddenly said, his skin flickering with surprised yellow patterns. "I'm picking up a signal from the outer rim. There's a small solar system, the inhabitants call themselves humans." Veltar had never heard of this species before. "What kind of signal?" "It's strange, sir. They're asking if anyone in this area needs help. They detected our ships and want to know if we're in distress." The entire bridge crew turned to stare at the young officer. In 30 years of traveling the galaxy, no one had ever asked if they needed help. Usually, other species told them to leave before they could even explain their situation. "Are you sure that's what the message says?" Veltar asked. "Yes, sir. They're using simple mathematics and basic symbols to communicate. Very primitive, but the meaning is clear. They want to help." Veltar felt his skin shift toward a brighter orange. For the first time in months, something other than despair filled his heart. Maybe, just maybe, there was still hope in the galaxy. "Send a response," he ordered. "Tell them who we are and what we need. If these humans are willing to listen, then we have nothing to lose by trying." As the message was prepared and sent toward the small blue planet in the distance, Veltar allowed himself to feel something he had almost forgotten: hope. His skin began to show tiny flecks of gold mixed with the blue, like stars appearing in a dark sky. Perhaps the galaxy's forgotten corner held the answer they had been searching for all along. Dr. Jiwoo sat in the Seoul Space Communications Center, staring at the strange message on her computer screen. The translation program had been working for 3 hours to decode the alien symbols, and what it revealed made her heart race with excitement and fear. "Time in it, come look at this," she called to her colleague across the room. "You're not going to believe what we just received." Dr. Time-Minute rolled his chair over to her desk and read the message over her shoulder. His eyes grew wide as he processed the words. 80,000 refugees? Their entire planet destroyed? Ji-woo, this is incredible. The message told a sad story. A race called the Keth-Mori had lost their homeworld 30 years ago when their sun exploded. Since then, they had been traveling through space, looking for a new place to live. Every advanced civilization in the galaxy had rejected them. Look at these images, Ji-woo said, pulling up the attached files. The pictures showed massive ships that looked like they were falling apart. Inside, she could see strange humanoid creatures with skin that seemed to glow different colors. Their technology is amazing, but their ships are barely working. Time-Minute frowned as he studied the data. Ji-woo, we need to be careful. The Galactic Federation warned us about getting involved with refugee situations. They said other species would think we're weak if we help everyone who asks. But look at them, Ji-woo pointed to an image showing Keth-Mori children with their parents. Even though they looked different from humans, she could see the same love and fear in their glowing faces that any human parent would show. They're just families trying to survive. The communication console beeped with an incoming call from the Blue House. President Hyjin's face appeared on the screen, looking serious but curious. Dr. Ji-woo, I understand we've received first contact from an alien species, the president asked. Yes, but it's not exactly first contact, Ji-woo explained. These people have been in space for 30 years. They're refugees, and they're asking for help. President Hyjin listened carefully as Ji-woo explained the situation. The Keth-Mori weren't asking for much, just a place to repair their ships and maybe stay for a while. They had knowledge and technology that could help Earth, but more importantly, they were desperate people with nowhere else to go. What do our advisors say? The president asked. Time-Minute spoke up. The military thinks it could be dangerous. We don't know anything about their weapons or their intentions. The economic advisors say feeding 80,000 aliens would cost too much money. And the scientists? We think it's the opportunity of a lifetime, Ji-woo said quickly. Their technology could advance human science by hundreds of years. But even more than that, they need help, and we can give it. President Hyjin was quiet for a long moment. Through the window of her office, she could see Seoul's busy streets filled with people from many different countries who had made South Korea their home. Her own grandparents had been refugees during the Korean War. Dr. Ji-woo, what do you think these Keth-Mori are really like? She asked. Ji-woo looked at the images again. The alien faces were different from humans, but she could see emotions in their glowing skin. Fear, hope, sadness, love, all the same feelings humans experienced every day. I think they're just people. Different people, but still people who want to live and be safe and raise their children. Meanwhile, in space, Commander Veltar waited anxiously for a response from the small blue planet. His skin showed nervous patterns of yellow and blue as he paced around the bridge. Sir, the communications officer called out. We're receiving a response from Earth. The bridge fell completely silent. Everyone held their breath as the message was decoded. After 30 years of rejections, they barely dared to hope. The message was simple and direct. Welcome to the Sol system. We are honored to help. Please send us your coordinates and we will guide you to Earth. Veltar stared at the words, unable to believe what he was reading. His skin began to shift from blue to gold, the color of joy and disbelief mixed together. Are they serious? Myralen whispered. Send another message, Veltar ordered. Make sure they understand. We are 80,000 refugees with nowhere else to go. We have been rejected by 17 different civilizations. Are they certain they want to help us? The response came back quickly, we understand completely. Earth has always been a place where people come to start new lives. You will be safe here. Across the Keth-Mori fleet, the news spread like wildfire. For the first time in 30 years, their ships began to glow with colors other than blue. Gold patterns of hope, green swirls of relief, and bright white spots of gratitude covered every hull. In the Seoul Communications Center, Ji-woo watched the alien ships change course toward Earth. She knew this decision would change everything for humanity, but looking at those glowing ships filled with desperate families, she knew they had made the right choice. Sometimes the most important decisions were also the simplest ones, to help when help was needed. 6 months after the first Keth-Mori ships landed on Earth, Veltar walked slowly through the busy streets of Busan. His skin glowed a warm golden color that the human children had learned meant he was happy. They waved at him from their school windows, and he waved back with a smile. It still amazed him how quickly the humans had accepted his people. When the Kethmori ships first entered Earth's atmosphere, Veltar had expected fear or anger. Instead, thousands of humans had gathered at the landing sites with food, medicine, and warm blankets. "Commander Veltar," called a familiar voice. He turned to see Dr. Jiwoo walking toward him with a young human woman he didn't recognize. "Please, just call me Veltar now," he said with a laugh. "I'm a citizen of Earth, remember?" Dr. Jiwoo smiled. "Veltar, I want you to meet So-young. She runs the integration program for refugees in this city." So-young bowed politely, a gesture she had learned from the Kethmori. "It's an honor to meet you. I've heard so much about your work with the Solar Energy Project." Veltar's skin flickered with modest purple patterns. "The humans have been very kind to let us contribute. Your scientists are remarkable, they learn so quickly." What Veltar didn't say was how surprised he had been by human curiosity. Other alien species had always been afraid of the Kethmori's emotional displays, calling them unstable or dangerous. But humans seemed fascinated by their ability to show feelings through their skin. "Actually," So-young said, "I wanted to talk to you about something exciting. Dr. Dornwook at the research center in Daejeon has made a breakthrough using Kethmori emotional patterns." They walked together toward the harbor, where several Kethmori families were fishing alongside human friends. The sight still filled Veltar with wonder. His people had never been able to make friends so easily with other species before. "What kind of breakthrough?" Veltar asked. "Well, you know how your people's skin changes color with emotions." So-young explained. Dr. Dornwook realized that humans have trouble understanding their own feelings sometimes. He's been working with Kethmori volunteers to create a new kind of therapy. She pulled out her tablet and showed him a video. In it, a human patient sat across from a Kethmori therapist named Sylvain. As the human talked about his problems, Sylvain's skin would change colors, showing emotions the human couldn't express in words. When humans see their emotions reflected in Sylvain's skin, they understand themselves better, So-young continued. Depression, anxiety, anger, problems that took months to solve before are now being helped in just weeks. Veltar's skin shifted to bright white with excitement. "This is wonderful. Are there other projects like this?" "Oh yes," Dr. Jiwoo said. "Your people's knowledge of solar energy has revolutionized our power systems. The cities that host Kethmori families now produce twice as much clean energy as before. And the art." She gestured toward a nearby building where beautiful patterns of light danced across the walls. Human artists had learned to work with Kethmori light shapers to create entirely new forms of art that changed based on the viewer's emotions. "But the most important thing," So-young added quietly, "is that your people are having children again." Veltar stopped walking. His skin went very still, showing only the faintest golden glow. "What did you say?" "The birth rate," Dr. Jiwoo explained gently. "It's not just that Kethmori babies are being born healthy again. For the first time since you left your homeworld, more babies are being born than people are dying. Your population is growing." Veltar felt tears in his eyes, clear, warm tears that glowed slightly with his emotional energy. For 30 years, he had watched his people slowly fade away. Children born weak, adults dying young from stress and sadness. He had begun to think the Kethmori would simply disappear from the galaxy. "Hope," he whispered. "They're being born with hope." A small human girl ran up to them, followed closely by a young Kethmori boy whose skin sparkled with playful green patterns. "Veltar," the human girl called out in broken Kethmori language. "Look what Minute-ho taught me." She pressed her palms together and made a simple light pattern appear between her hands, a basic Kethmori greeting that meant friendship. The Kethmori boy, Minute-ho, giggled and responded by making his skin flash in happy rainbow colors. "She learns fast," he said in perfect Korean. Watching the two children play together, Veltar realized something that filled him with wonder. His people weren't just surviving on Earth, they were becoming part of something bigger. Human children were learning Kethmori customs, while Kethmori children spoke human languages. New traditions were being born from the mixing of two very different cultures. "There is something I must tell you," Veltar said to Dr. Jiwoo and So-young. "We have been monitoring galactic communications. Other species are starting to pay attention to Earth." "Is that bad?" So-young asked. Veltar's skin showed complex patterns of concern mixed with determination. "Some of the same civilizations that rejected us are now very interested in the technologies we've developed together. The Zephyrian Collective has been asking questions about our collaboration with primitives." "Let them ask," Dr. Jiwoo said firmly. "Earth doesn't abandon its citizens." Looking at the mixed groups of humans and Kethmori working and playing together in the harbor, Veltar felt his skin glow with the strongest golden light he had shown in decades. His people had finally found more than just a home, they had found a family. The warning came at dawn. In the Earth Defense Command Center in Seoul, alarms blared as dozens of massive alien ships appeared at the edge of the solar system. General Wu Jin stared at the tactical display with growing concern as more enemy vessels dropped out of hyperspace. "How many?" he asked his aide, Captain Hawan. 57 ships, sir. All Zephyrian collective warships. Their flagship is broadcasting a message on all frequencies. The main screen flickered to life, showing Admiral Kresh of the Zephyrian fleet. His insect-like features twisted in what humans had learned was their version of anger. Primitive humans, Kresh's voice echoed through the command center. You have something that belongs to the civilized galaxy. The Kethmori refugees will be transferred to proper Zephyrian care immediately. You have 12 hours to comply, or we will take them by force. General Wu Jin turned to President Hai Jin, who had arrived within minutes of the first alarm. Her face was calm, but her eyes showed the same determination that had led her to welcome the Kethmori in the first place. We're outnumbered 50 to 1, Wu Jin reported honestly. Our space defense fleet has only 23 ships, and most of them are converted cargo vessels with basic weapons. The outer colony allies are too far away to help in time. What about the orbital defense platforms? She asked. They might hold them off for a few hours, but... He didn't need to finish. Everyone in the room knew Earth's defenses were no match for a full Zephyrian battle fleet. Where is Veltar? President Hai Jin asked. Here, The Kethmori leader entered the command center, his skin showing swirling patterns of orange and blue, determination mixed with deep sadness. Behind him came several other Kethmori, including the engineer Sylvain and the scientist Myralen. We heard the message, Veltar said quietly. President Hai Jin, we cannot let Earth suffer because of us. If we go with them willingly, perhaps they will leave your people alone. The president turned to face him directly. Veltar, are you a citizen of Earth? Yes, but... Then this discussion is over, she said firmly. Earth does not abandon its citizens. Ever. Veltar's skin flashed with grateful gold patterns, but the blue of worry remained strong. With respect, the Zephyrians will destroy your cities to get to us. We've seen what they do to worlds that resist them. Then we'd better make sure they don't get the chance, said a new voice. Dr. Jiwoo entered the command center with Dr. Dongwook and several other scientists. President Hai Jin, we need to show you something. The scientists had been working in secret for months, they explained. The integration of human and Kethmori technology had produced more than just better solar panels and emotional therapy. It had created entirely new forms of defense. Bioorganic shielding, Dr. Dongwook explained, pulling up technical displays. The orbital platforms have been upgraded with living shields that adapt and strengthen under attack. The more energy the Zephyrians throw at them, the stronger they become. Sylvain stepped forward, his skin glowing with excited patterns. And the human pilots have been training with Kethmori navigators. Our emotional displays allow for perfect coordination, better than any computer system. General Wu Jin studied the new data with growing amazement. This technology, it's completely revolutionary. Why didn't you tell us sooner? We wanted to be sure it worked, Dr. Jiwoo admitted. And we hoped we'd never need to use it. President Hai Jin looked around the room at the mixed group of humans and Kethmori working together, even as enemy ships gathered outside their solar system. Admiral Kresh is about to learn something important about Earth, she said. We don't just protect our own, we become stronger because of our differences. The battle began 6 hours later. The Zephyrian fleet moved in perfect military formation, their weapon systems charging for what they expected to be a quick victory over the primitive humans. What they found instead surprised them completely. Earth's orbital platforms didn't explode under the first barrage, they absorbed the energy and grew stronger. The bioorganic shields pulsed with borrowed power, becoming nearly impenetrable. Human fighters, guided by Kethmori navigators whose skin showed the emotional states of their pilots, moved with impossible precision. They struck at weak points in the Zephyrian formation while avoiding return fire with dance-like grace. But the real shock came when additional ships emerged from behind Earth's moon. Not human ships, but vessels from a dozen other species, the Altarian refugees Earth had quietly welcomed 2 years earlier, the Rigel traders who had found sanctuary after their homeworld became uninhabitable, and others. This is Captain Zara of the Altarian Defense Corps, came a voice over the communication channels. Earth gave us a home when no one else would. Today, we stand with our adopted world. Admiral Kresh watched in disbelief as his overwhelming force found itself surrounded and outmaneuvered. These weren't just humans fighting, it was a united fleet of species that had all found refuge and strength together. In the Sol Command Center, Veltar's skin blazed with colors no Kethmori had shown for generations, pure joy mixed with fierce pride. His people weren't just being protected by humans. They were part of something completely new in the galaxy, a civilization that grew stronger by including others rather than pushing them away. The battle was far from over, but for the first time in 30 years, Veltar knew his people were exactly where they belonged. 1 year after the Great Battle, Sol looked very different. The city streets buzzed with activity as beings from 17 different worlds walked side by side with humans. Children with glowing Kethmori skin played soccer with human friends while their Altarian neighbors watched from park benches, their crystal-like bodies catching the afternoon sunlight. Veltar stood on the stage in the center of Olympic Park, looking out at the largest crowd he had ever seen. The annual Unity Festival had grown beyond anyone's expectations. What started as a simple celebration of the Kethmori integration had become a galaxy-wide symbol of hope. His skin showed every color in the spectrum: joy, pride, love, determination, and something new that the humans had taught him to recognize as belonging. For the first time since his homeworld died, Veltar truly felt at home. "Friends," he began, his voice carried by translators to thousands of beings in the crowd. "1 year ago, the Zephyrian Collective came to take us away from Earth. They believed that advanced civilizations should not mix with primitive ones." Laughter rippled through the audience. The word primitive had become a joke among Earth citizens. The Zephyrian invasion had lasted only 3 days before Admiral Kresh surrendered, his fleet crippled by technology he couldn't understand and coordination he couldn't match. "They learned something important that day," Veltar continued. "They learned that calling someone primitive doesn't make it true. Earth showed the galaxy what real civilization looks like." In the VIP section, President Hyjin smiled as she watched her daughter Minatai play with a group of refugee children. The little girl had learned to speak 4 alien languages and could make simple light patterns with her hands, copying her Kethmori friends. Dr. Jiwoo sat nearby, now wearing the insignia of Earth's first interspecies science director. The breakthroughs from combining different alien technologies had advanced human science by centuries. Cities powered by Kethmori solar technology and Rigel fusion cores produced more clean energy than they could use. Medical advances from the crystal-based Altarians had eliminated most diseases on Earth. "But the most important thing we learned," Veltar said, his skin shifting to warm gold, "is that our differences are not problems to be solved. They are gifts to be shared." The crowd cheered as children from dozens of species ran onto the stage, each group demonstrating their unique abilities. Kethmori children created beautiful light patterns, Altarian youngsters sang in crystal harmonies that made the air shimmer, and human children showed off the new technologies they had learned to build. In the years since the battle, everything had changed. The Sol Refugee Compact now protected species that other civilizations had rejected or ignored. Word had spread across the galaxy that Earth was different, that humans didn't just tolerate aliens, they welcomed them and grew stronger because of them. "We have built something new here," Veltar announced. "Not just a place where refugees can hide, but a place where every being can become their best self." The proof was everywhere. The Tentari, aquatic beings whose homeworld had been poisoned, now managed Earth's ocean cleanup projects with technology that turned pollution into useful materials. The small, furry Vec people, rejected by other species for being too emotional, had revolutionized human education by teaching children to understand and express their feelings better. President Hyjin took the stage next, speaking to representatives from hundreds of worlds who had come to see this strange new civilization for themselves. 6 months ago, the Galactic Council offered Earth membership as a junior partner, she announced. We politely declined. The crowd erupted in cheers. Everyone knew why Earth had refused the Council's offer. Membership would have meant following their rules about which species were acceptable and which should be turned away. Instead, we have formed the Terran Alliance, President Hyjin continued. Any species, any world, any being who wants to build something better together is welcome to join us. Already, 12 star systems had joined the alliance. Not as subjects or colonies, but as equal partners in a growing network of worlds that shared technology, culture, and hope. Near the back of the crowd, Commander Kresh of the former Zephyrian invasion fleet watched quietly. After his defeat, he had requested asylum on Earth rather than return home in shame. Now he worked as a military advisor, helping to defend the very world he had once tried to conquer. His insectoid features were hard to read, but those who knew him well could see something like wonder in his large compound eyes. The Zephyrian Collective, like most galactic powers, was built on the idea that stronger species should dominate weaker ones. Earth had proven that cooperation made everyone stronger. As the festival continued into the night, the lights of acceptance glowed brighter than any star. Children fell asleep in their parents' arms while beings from across the galaxy shared food, stories, and dreams of the future. Veltar found himself standing with Dr. Jiwoo and President Hyjin as the celebration wound down. His skin showed soft patterns of contentment mixed with excitement for what was to come. "What happens now?" he asked. Dr. Jiwoo pointed to the sky, where new ships arrived every week bringing more refugees, more dreamers, more beings who had heard that somewhere in the galaxy, there was a place that judged people by their character rather than their species. "Now we keep building," she said simply. "One person at a time, one family at a time, one world at a time." The galaxy had learned that sometimes the most advanced philosophy was treating others with basic human decency. Earth hadn't just saved the rejected, it had shown the universe what true civilization looked like.